Multiple rounds of severe weather is expected beginning tomorrow, continuing to this weekend and into early next week for portions of the region, but mainly into the Corn Belt area. A couple of cold fronts and then a sharp gradient in moisture and storm fuel will be the focus corridor of increased severe weather potential over similar areas. I will take a deep dive into the timing of each individual day and an overall look at the upper air pattern of what will be driving this upcoming stretch of severe weather. Taking a look at the upper air pattern, the mid-level winds, as we move to tomorrow afternoon, we see a jet streak, a stronger belt of mid-level flow begin to push southeast into the Midwest. This will likely initiate thunderstorms along a cold front tomorrow afternoon, about mid to late afternoon time frame, and push southeast into Iowa. On the edge of this jet streak, that is where you typically get the most robust rather than that appears to be what will happen tomorrow. So as you can see on the edge of the nose of the jet streak, we'll move into Iowa and Wisconsin tomorrow evening, which will be the focused area of weather, which we will dive deep into Friday as we get later into the video. Pushing to Saturday, we see a shortwave trough, a embedded shortwave trough on the southern flank of a jet streak begin to push southeast over into Iowa and Nebraska and push further east into Illinois and them areas through the overnight hours Saturday night. Because of this embedded shortwave troughs, embedded futures of pieces of upper air energy, this will allow for a complex of thunderstorms to likely be sustained into the overnight hours Saturday night in a very unstable air mass as well for portions of South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa, maybe into Illinois. We'll dive deep into that as we get later into the video as well. And then another possibly more organized shortwave trough will push southeast into the Corn Belt region again Sunday afternoon, evening time frame into like Minnesota, Iowa, and them areas that will allow for another round or two of weather Sunday and Sunday night through much of the region. Now, these embedded shortwave troughs, as you can see, these small areas of greater mid-level flow on the southern flank, if you want to say, of the jet streak that will be up here. South of this is where you these embedded shortwaves. You see a shortwave, well, that's more of a smaller feature, but you see the shortwave pushing in over here into the Dakotas and the plains that will push southeast into the Corn Belt late Saturday night and into Sunday morning. But because of the shortwave arrivals into the evening and overnight hours, we will likely have severe weather continuing well into the overnight hours and could mainly be in the overnight hours for a couple other days coming up. It does look like tomorrow, though, will be in the daytime. Taking a look at for Friday, this is on zonewatch.com. We have a partnership with them. There are so many features on zonewatch.com. You can look at feature radar, feature lightning radar, all the ingredients for weather, and then even also winter weather. All that stuff for half the price of any other weather app you want to say or website, but it's also cheaper than one cup of coffee for an entire month. So you should definitely take a look at this at zonewatchpro.com. Either way, we would like to see a complex of thunderstorms develop. This says mid morning, late morning tomorrow morning, but let's say closer to midday. We should see some sort of severe thunderstorms or thunderstorms develop along a cold front in Minnesota down into northwest Iowa and continue to drag southeast through Iowa and into Wisconsin through tomorrow afternoon and evening time frame. This is a look at about mid afternoon tomorrow. We see some weather in place for Iowa and into Wisconsin as well, and then it appears that it will likely weaken as we move into later tomorrow evening. That's because of a cap possibly being in place and more stable air being in place for the south tomorrow night. But again, models has done a horrible job the last few months on storm evolution, so this might not verify. But either way, it looks like that tomorrow afternoon evening we will have the chance for severe for portions of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa, and the nose of that jet streak. That showed up earlier in the video. The main threat will be damaging wind gusts, but there may be a threat of large hail as well. The tornado threat will likely be on the low end, but there's also a chance for a tornado in these events as well. Now, tomorrow will mostly be driven by dynamics, the greater wind shear that will be in place, force weather that will allow for some sort of an organized corridor of weather to happen, and possibly more of a mesoscale future, like a afflow boundary, some sort of boundary that can, which will be a warm front. It looks like for tomorrow that will likely allow for storms to initiate and get stronger. because storm fuel will be a little bit on the low end tomorrow afternoon. The green and slight yellow values are Cape values of only about 2,000 up to 3,000, but in the area of severe weather, looks like we'll have Cape values up to about 1,000 or 1,500 for storm fuel, which is low for this time of the year. So again, this will be mainly be a driven event by dynamics that will be in place, but there's also a bust potential. I do think this gradient though will lead to a pretty long-lived cluster of severe thunderstorms that will likely ride this gradient tomorrow afternoon as the warm front begins to push north. You have dew points in the 70s as well, and also you have a more favorable amount of storm fuel in place, and you already have enough dynamics wind shear already in place. So for Saturday, as the shortwave trough begins to push into the Dakotas into Nebraska, we're likely to see a complex or so develop Saturday afternoon and evening time. This is Saturday morning actually, so we may see a round of severe weather in the morning Saturday and again afternoon and evening. For Saturday, either way, as a jet streak, this another shortwave begins to push into Nebraska and South Dakota, and for the southeast into Iowa, we will likely have a couple rounds of severe weather for these areas. This is just one model input. It could be a lot different than what this model shows. And again, Model Guidance has done a terrible job the last couple months on showing the evolution of thunderstorms. But either way, this model is hinting at a complex developing into Nebraska and them areas. It could be probably further north than this. For Saturday, and as we get into the evening, we should see storms develop again Saturday afternoon and evening, along maybe a leftover outflow boundary. Either way, along the gradient that was set up Saturday afternoon and evening that I will show. But you can kind of see this gradient showing up along into the Corn Belt region. You will likely have another round of severe weather Saturday evening into the Dakotas, Nebraska, Iowa, maybe down into Illinois as well, where you have a much more favorable environment in place. As you look at Saturday evening, you can see this very sharp gradient and storm fuel and moisture that will be in place by Saturday evening time frame. This could be a little bit further north than what this model shows. I actually bet it will be further north. But either way, you go from almost no storm fuel to more of a stable atmosphere all the way up to about 4,000 plus joules of storm fuel in place. And not just that, dew points will be in the mid 70s south of the warm front and only in the upper 50s or low 60s north of the warm front. So a very sharp gradient will set up Saturday evening. And wherever that exactly sets up, that will be where the greatest chances for clusters of thunderstorms with damaging winds, potentially intense wind gusts, will be. So either way, there's quite a bit of uncertainty on the exact placement of the boundary between Saturday afternoon and evening. But that does not mean that there won't be severe weather, as it's very likely that there will be some, severity of severe weather. It could be more on the significant side of things, but it just depends, I guess, how things evolve with tomorrow's event. Because when you have 3 to 4 days of severe weather in a row, it all depends what the previous day does for the next day's severe weather. I said that in every video because you just need to know that, really. Now, as we move into Sunday, more rounds of severe weather is expected Sunday, and also into Sunday night. This is a look at more of a long-range model because we are getting further out in advance now, but it looks like we will have a couple complexes of thunderstorms likely along another gradient, as we can see, a pretty sharp gradient along the I-90 corridor by Sunday afternoon evening time frame. When you have a sharp gradient like this, it's usually this time of the year you get complexes of thunderstorms, clusters of thunderstorms. To have this gradient, and being that we will have enough dynamics in place Sunday, we shouldn't have to deal with any capping. It should allow for a couple long-lived clusters Sunday and Sunday night, producing another round of damaging wind gusts into the evening. For Sunday, we will have a very unstable air mass in place with storm fuel, again, up to about 4,000 joules per kilogram in some areas into the Corn Belt area. So again, these clusters will ride this gradient, which would likely be, to South Dakota, down to Iowa, and down to the border of Wisconsin and Illinois as well. So again, a pretty sharp gradient in moisture is expected, and then as you can see by the evening, you see these complexes always some sort of severe weather will go along the gradient Sunday evening into the overnight hours. And this model, you can see the clusters in a pretty large area overall. Now, as we move to early next week, we will likely have a couple more days of severe weather. Next Monday, we will likely have some severe weather as this belt of mid-level flow continues to push further south down to Iowa, Illinois, Michigan. There will likely be a cold front that will set up again Monday afternoon, evening time frame. You will for the north, you will likely have quite a bit of severe weather in this area next Monday as well, with a lot of storm fuel in place again. And this model does indicate another round of severe weather along the gradient, also Monday evening time frame, and severe weather will be possible again once again next Tuesday with the gradient still sitting in this area, in a very similar area next Tuesday. So again, tomorrow begins the stretch of severe weather that will likely last for multiple days in a row into early next week, maybe into the middle of next week as well. It looks like next Wednesday we'll also have most of the weather with that belt of middle of flow staying in place. So it looks like we have about 5, maybe plus days of weather in a row. So make sure you stay tuned for more videos in a row. And also, we got my merch order out now, or merch website out now. So if you want to order any merch, go to my Facebook page. On the pinned post, it is the website, and you can order your merch from there. And also, make sure you subscribe to me or follow me on X. My X is Midwest Weather as well. I post a lot of updates on there. And then, of course, make sure you subscribe on here as well.